Zanondani, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the latest game in the Ratchet and Clank series, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. And this is really awesome because this is my first video about a PS5 game. Not going to be the last for sure, but it's just kind of interesting. So, yes, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's out, and honestly, it is a lot of fun. And I've already played through both the normal playthrough as well as my challenge playthrough. And honestly, like I said, tons of fun. So much fun to play through it. And, yeah, I've 100%ed the game. Now, obviously, that's not very hard to do with Ratchet and Clank games as it is. These games are really short as it is, but it still took me a bit of time. And no, it would not take you just one day. I mean, maybe it would if you just played all the way through all day and didn't stop, but I didn't. I actually took breaks. So, yeah. But, yeah, this game was a ton of fun, and getting to play through it was honestly just great. Getting to see a Ratchet and Clank game that doesn't suck, especially after what happened with the PS4 only getting one game, and that one game being awful. Yeah, we needed this. We needed Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. This continues the story where they left off with whatever happened, which, keep in mind, I haven't played most of the Ratchet and Clank series. I've only played the original 3, so, as well as the latest one, so, or the one before this, which, keep in mind, the one before this, Ratchet and Clank PS4, was not in this universe. This is a different universe, and even though Ratchet is wearing the same outfit, it is not that Ratchet. It is the Ratchet that we've been with from the very beginning, okay? Which does raise the question, why does he think he's the only Lombax in the universe? Like, obviously, if he had seen Galaxy, then obviously we understand that, but at the same time, it's like, there was another in the second game, so what the hell happened to her? But, yeah. But this game is mostly focusing on a new character, that of Rivet, and getting us ready to actually get to know her more. And the big possibility that the Ratchet and Clank series may be coming to an end as the Ratchet and Clank series, but may instead be going down the lines of no longer is it going to be the Ratchet and Clank series, but instead be the Rivet and Kit series, focusing on our two new characters that have been introduced, that of Rivet and that of Kit. These two characters are going to be massively important to this continuation of the series, with Rivet being a female Lombax and getting to understand a lot more of how everything is going on with the Lombaxes, but Kit is, well, a bit of someone who was evil and has a lot more lore to her than Clank did. Clank was a defective warbot, and people knew that the entire time. And yet, Kit, she was an actual warbot, meant to destroy a rebellion, and she did that well. She was on top of it. She was ready to cause mayhem, and then one day she happened to realize what she was doing and decided to stop and became, well, more peaceful, deciding to instead go live on Savali by trying to be by herself as much as possible so that she wouldn't hurt anyone ever again. And that's insane. And the person that she hurt was Rivet, who lost her arm because of that. Now, the interesting thing to note as well is that Ratchet and Clank are together in this, on the cover as well as the picture that you see, and Rivet is basically by herself, which is really which makes sense considering the fact that Rivet doesn't meet Kit until like the last few worlds, and Kit is introduced in the 4th world out of 9, and she's hardly involved at all. So it makes sense that they wouldn't show her, as well as they want to make sure it's a surprise for everyone. But for the most part, Clank is with Rivet like the entire time. Only being with Ratchet at the beginning and the end of the game. And everything in between, Ratchet is by himself until he meets Kit, and then is with Kit, and then Rivet is with Clank until the end when she meets Rivet for the first time. And yeah, it was it's really interesting. Just getting to see that. But also, Rivet is the most played character. Like, Ratchet is the 2nd most played character, and Clank is the 3rd, with Kit being the 4th most played of the playable characters. And there's only 4. She has 1 level to herself. In fact, actually, she falls even lower because there is a 5th playable character, that of Glitch, who is actually, I believe, above Clank. Which, what? You made a robot that is hardly ever used, that doesn't talk, the 3rd most played playable character, and not one of the title main characters? What? Oh, it's fine. It's actually fine. But it's just kind of hilarious that Clank is 3rd, Ratchet is 2, and it's weird. It's actually a bit weird. But in the same aspect, we get to play as mostly Rivet, getting to understand what she's like, who she is, and getting to mess around with a lot of really cool mechanics on using her. And she's also the only one that's able to compete in the, cups, the championships, or whatever you want to call them. Basically going to Xerxes to just have some fun fighting and leveling up your weapons. It's awesome. Which, speaking of which, you get to see all of your weapons out on display in Xerxes, which looks amazing. And yeah, there's a lot of other really cool aspects that you get to see throughout the game, and it's just, I love it. And you will probably max out your bolts count before you finish your 2nd playthrough. Very easily. In fact, you might be able to do it on your 1st playthrough if you really try hard enough. But yeah, it's honestly really cool to just get to see all of that. And you get to play as Rivet, which is a lot of fun. Now, let's actually talk about some of the complaints that I have with this game. Now, I'm not saying that they should change anything at all, but I think that it's kind of weird that they don't allow you to play as the other characters on these worlds. Like, obviously, I understand that when you first go to a world, you should play as that specific character. And you shouldn't be able to go back, and being able to go back to that world, though, I think that you should be able to choose which character you want to play as. Do you want to play as Rivet on Savali? Go for it. You want to play as Ratchet in Xerxes? Go for it. I think that would be a fantastic option. But they decided against that, which is a bit odd. Like, story-wise, it makes some sense, but at the same time, it's like, why? Like, even if you just have to wait until you've completed the game, pretty much, to where there's only the last boss left, and then you're able to choose whether you play as Rivet or as Ratchet, because at that point, you can go to every single world and you've completed everything, and there are very few things that you can do beyond that point. I mean, yes, there are certain things that you can only do as Rivet or as Ratchet because of the fact that there are optional quests. But even all of the most of those optional quests, you don't actually need Ratchet or Rivet, because the only thing that is different between the two characters is that Ratchet can activate crank bolts and Rivet can do the other lever thing, which is, I don't understand how that works, but it's basically a special lock. But those are the only differences. You get all of the same gadgets, you get all of the same weapons, and even though Rivet has Clank on her back and Clank uses the propeller, Ratchet still has his hover boots. And when you go to the end, when Kit is no longer in your party, Rivet has the hover boots. So it's like, the heck? What's going on here? Why can we not play as either of these characters? And yeah, story-wise, having it be a specific character when you go to a world during your first time, it makes sense, yes, absolutely. But I don't know. There's a few things, like I said, it's weird. And there's no crank bolts that are outside that you have to do stuff with. So I don't know. And it also would have been a lot of fun for certain things to only be accessible as the other character, I think. So like, let's say you go to Zavali. Maybe a few of the Lorbs are only accessible to you if you are playing as Rivet. And if you're playing, and then on another world, maybe you can find some more prisoners to free on the last world as Ratchet only. Or maybe there is a secret cup at Xerxes that is only accessible if you want to switch over to Ratchet, and then you can play as him to do a special cup, and only as him. Basically, Rivet is not allowed to do that. There's just so many really cool ideas that are just popping into my mind as to what they could have done with that, but they didn't. Which I think that's really my only complaint, that they didn't allow you to do more stuff with these other characters. And again, Ratchet has only 4 of the 5 worlds. Rivet gets 5 of them, and one of those 5 is the world that you will spend the most time in. Sure, Ratchet gets the biggest world, but it basically equates to the mining deserts from the second game, or I think that there are other equivalents in later games, as well as I think the first game might have had something like it. But yeah, that's what it equates to. And you get nothing. It's weird, like I said, that you don't get to play as much with that. I also think that it would have been fun for them to integrate some more space battles, because we didn't really get that in the second game. Or in the PS4 game. Like, sure, we had some battles, but it was basically the same stuff that you could do on the original game. But in the second and the third game, as well as many of the future games, you got to do so much more in space and just with your ship. I think they should have done some of that. I also think that they should have brought back the small worlds, where you could play as Clank, as his big form. Since Kit has the form in just easy to access anyways, having her get some of those worlds would have made a ton of sense. But they didn't do that. So, the heck? I think that more than likely that is going to be in the next game. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what they do. Because honestly, this isn't the last game that they're going to be doing for the PS5. Not by a long shot. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart did extremely well, considering the fact that the PS5 is basically inaccessible to most people. And The only reason I have it is because I'm a pro member at GameStop, so, yeah. And there's so many scalpers, it's insane. But with the PS5 not being available to many people, it means that not very many people got to play it, but the game did extremely well. So I absolutely believe that there will be some more PS5 games before too long, with the final Ratchet and Clank game and the first Rivet and Kit game. And we'll talk about that in a future video. But for right now, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and ring that notification bell. Of course, if you have any thoughts or theories, please leave them down in the comments below. If you are going to leave a theory, make sure to say theory review somewhere in your comment. And of course, if you guys do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways you can support us financially, including the merch store, the book, and of course our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I have been Electric Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!